Welcome everybody here today in this nice, cold, risky morning. With that, I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please. Here.
Here. Here.
And this morning we will start with invocation by our spiritual advisor, Mr. Gene Goodsky. which, Gene? Next, we have the approval of the agenda.
The only thing I'd like to do is move Miranda and Joel to the bottom of the agenda. They're both coming from Net Lake. They'll be here.
Oops. If no other changes or additions, I'll call for a motion to approve the agenda. Moved by Ray, is there a second? Second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Approval of minutes from the November 15, 2017 meeting in Net Lake. If there's no questions or corrections to the minutes, I'll call for a motion to approve. The other approved sole source request was for elder gift cards from Northern Eagle Federal Credit Union in the amount of $29,336. We have 772 elder cards at $35 a card with a $3 fee per card. The council poll vote was 4-0-0. Approved sole source request from housing for a sewer line replacement from CNC Winger Incorporated for the Billy Joe Deegan residence in the amount of $4,500. Council poll vote was 4-0-0. And that was for a HUD home that was having sewer issues that were never resolved. Call for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move.
Moved by Ray, is there a second? Second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
Okay, first we have Brooke to consider a resolution. Apply for a grant.
Good morning, Sidra. Good morning, Brooke.
So we would like to ask for this resolution to pass for the EIA basis assistance grant. It requires that we have documentation, official documentation, stating our significant resources that we have that we're trying to protect.
So basically what this is it's not an actual resolution asking for permission to apply for the grant. What it is it's asking for a resolution to designate tribal government authority, I guess designate that we have a priority of taking care of our culturally significant resources. So it's kind of a blanket statement actually. We designed it to cover animals, all the vegetation, our wild rice. So hopefully that this resolution could be used in for other grant opportunities or other needs as well. So it's not a very specific grant, not a very specific resolution, just kind of a blanket statement saying that we identify these culturally sensitive resources as very valuable to us.
Okay, because it does say and it does reference that under the, now therefore be it resolved that the Boys Fort Reservation Tribal Council hereby proclaims that medicinal and culturally relevant vegetation, wild rice, berry crops, and wildlife are items that are to be officially recognized as those with cultural significance to the Boys Fort Band of Chippewa.
Correct.
And is that a requirement of the grant that we
Of
make
this particular grant, it is.
Okay. And what kind of dollars are available?
It is up to, 250,000 per application, minimum, 2,500. So, we don't know what the amount will be for the project yet. We have to obviously speak with, contractors and
Does it include staffing?
No.
No?
No. What we likely will write this grant for is, it's a BIA grant that's available for invasive species program. And what we'll likely write this one for is similar to the one that we wrote to the tribal wildlife program for the study and mapping of the invasive species to start addressing the different invasive species that we're experiencing here on the res.
So it's like a research grant?
Not a research grant, but hopefully something to identify and maybe even start mitigating some of the issues that we're having.
Like a data collection
Yeah.
Yeah.
in this area.
Yep. Like Brooke just said, kind of step one of, in order for us to be able to move forward and look for funding to actually address the problem, we need to identify that we have the problem and document that data.
Any other questions for Brooke or Sidra? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the resolution for culturally significant natural resources.
I'll move.
Moved by Ray, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Trav, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Miigwech.
Thank you. Good luck with that.
Thanks.
Next, we have Suzanne Nash with an alcohol and cigarette tax resolution.
Susan Nash.
Yes, we do. Good morning, Suzanne and Sharon.
Before I start, I just want to do this appropriately since I'm asking you for something for tobacco.
Put it on here when we're done.
Yeah. Miigwech.
Which?
And I apologize that I am today using commercial tobacco as, I didn't drive, so my tobacco medicine and bags are in my car. So I apologize for Mndot. Thank you for having us here today. I have, Mark is available by phone. If you would like, I can pass you the number and then we can get him on. Okay. Do you want me to do it on my phone or do you have a conference phone you use?
You want Mark?
Yeah.
Only if you want. I don't think we need that.
You don't?
Yeah.
Okay.
If we need to, we'll call him.
I wanted to come here in front of the tribal council and talk about taxing cigarettes and alcohol for the reservation to create some sustainability and to keep the prevention dollars here at the res and to also create some dollars for alcohol and drugs. As we know, we have a huge crisis with opiates, and alcohol is, the new research has shown to be the new gateway to these things, and so we want to use the tax dollars to create revenue, to create some prevention around treatment for alcohol and drugs, and for smoking as well, commercial tobacco. So addiction has seen in many ways, and one of them is through commercial tobacco. I've been doing this work for about 16 years. I work with youth and young adults, and through my prevention and cessation programs, I have found that a lot of the kids want our communities to recognize that traditional tobacco is sacred, and that it was a gift that was given to us, and that we need to reclaim that gift. And this is coming from the young ones, and also in the work that I do, is working with them to reclaim that medicine that was given to us. This is not to shame or take away somebody's rights to smoke. This is not what we're doing at all. What I'm here today is to create, to help create some kind of revenue to help with those who do want to quit commercial tobacco, those who do want to go to treatment, who do want to give up alcohol and drugs, because it is a crisis, and we have the highest smoking rates among any other priority population. While in Minnesota, 80% of the people don't smoke, but 59% of our people smoke. And this is due to, history, through trauma, through not being able to practice our religion and to be able to use our tobacco the way it was meant to be. So we began to use commercial tobacco as a way to send that message to the Creator. We no longer have to do that, and we can use tobacco in the way that it was meant to be. And we can grow our own tobacco and use traditional tobacco instead of the commercial tobacco. There's over 5,000 chemicals in a cigarette. When it is lit, there's over 7,000 chemicals. If you're sitting next to me and the person's smoking, this person sitting next to me is inhaling 7 times more than nicotine and the chemicals than the person who's actually smoking. So this is really a small step to creating a healthier generation for our next generation, and for an overall creating some sustainability, because we don't have the dollars for the health issues that come with commercial tobacco. And I see so many of our youth and so many people in the urban area and that live up here that I know that are struggling with some kind of addiction. And we need to put them dollars and the resources in place to do that. And I can tell you, with the administration that's in right now, I don't know that there is going to be any more tobacco dollars coming our way to do prevention and education. As Clearway sunsets out, as we get a lot of money, the tribe receives a lot of money from them to do 2 programs, and that's the prevention programs. So really, this idea just didn't come up like overnight. I've been researching this, working with Susan Allen and some other people. I'm also a policy champion in the urban area, where I work to help pass policies around flavored menthol products and T21, and also advocating for prevention. I've also been advocating for more dollars to come into the Indian communities for prevention in alcohol and drugs. So I graciously came here today to ask you to help create some sustainability and to create prevention around alcohol and drugs for our people. So, miigwech.
Garrett? That's okay, just to go to the mic. Good morning.
Just, we've kind of been talking about this on a director level for the last couple of weeks. We've been probably about it, and I think the premise is really good. I mean,
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Well, like I said, we've been talking about this on a director level the last couple of weeks over here, and I do think the premise is very good. You know, with, like you said, for addiction and the stuff like that in the community, I just think that really it's a tough sell for us over here in the locals market with tobacco and alcohol. If we start adding an additional tax on tobacco in the gift shop, I don't know if you guys got the page with the numbers on here, but I have put together some numbers.
And maybe give them a copy too.
Yeah, this is what this really has is the revenue that we generated out in 2015, 2016, 2017 averages, and what it would create on the bottom down there if we get a 1% or a 5% tax. As you can see, with the 1% tax, you get about 14,700. 3% you get 44,000, 5% 73,000. However, on our end, we really think that it's more the perception with our customers over here being that we're such a local market, especially in the winter months. If you add a tax onto the tobacco over here, we think that we will actually you'll lose more amount than we're actually going to gain in retail sales. People are, especially our employees, a lot of our employees are buying tobacco over here on a daily basis. They're very price conscious. You know, when you're looking at it, when they're looking at their paychecks, knowing them as well as I do, I'm very confident that the majority of them will start buying the tobacco away from what you pay over here if the price exceeds what they can pay for at the retail store. I think the same thing with our local customers. You know, over here, a lot of them that come over here, they run to the gift shop when they get here for the tobacco, buy 5 packs, 8 packs. I really think that they would not buy that much if we had an additional tax.
And I think with the, just so everybody knows that, with regards to the businesses, as far as the Y store, that one would not be subjected to this.
But it would just be on alcohol and so same thing with the alcohol and tobacco purchased over here, unfortunately, they have the C score, right?
Right.
I kind of look at it like when we did the machines, perception on the machines back in 2010, 2011. You know, we tightened them up a little bit, right? You know, right away, we did very well right away that first year. But what was the perception from all the locals over here? It took a long time to get them back coming over here because, you know, they're a very tight-knit community over here. They talk, I can tell you, you know, and a lot of them, it just will be, well, where do we get out there? They all talk. We're not, this isn't, I think at Mystic Lake or someplace down in the cities, this will work really well. You know, but when you're in a community like ours, that's as small as ours, especially in the off-season, where we don't have we did this with a hotel tax before, for the LPRA and for the tribal tax, probably about 10 years ago. And the reason why we still do hear about it a little bit, but the majority of the time with that, it's from people from out of the area that are paying for it during the peak season. I don't think a lot of problems we would have if it was something like this during the summertime over here, when you have people from out of the area, they wouldn't know the difference. The problem is, it's all the locals who are, and I think a lot of the locals do buy their tobacco in here already. And then especially the competitive market with liquor sales and stuff as well. You can go, we're competing for every dollar. You know, we're running bare bones promotions right now in the off-season to try to get people through the doors. So every little bit helps, and I think that overall hurting that perception really would have a negative impact on our sales. I think we lose more sales than we gain actually tax.
Thank you, Garrett. Sharon?
Bonjour.
Would you?
This ordinance that would be created would really be one of the first of its kind in Indian country. And Boys Fort was the first in Indian country to have a powwow that was smoke-free. And and other reservations followed suit. In fact, after your first smoke-free powwow, Whiteard had one, and then Leech Lake, and they asked me if they could take a look at your resolution that created that, and so I asked the staff here, and they said yes. Just make sure that you tell them and that they announce that Boys Fort was the first. So this may have an effect on some short-term profits, but the effect that you will have long-term on the health of our own people, it will greatly outweigh those short-term profits. And we know from many, many studies that, in larger, the same argument is made in large metropolitan areas when cities increase their sales tax, and states where they said, well, we're going to, we'll lose a little bit of revenue. But the effect that it will have in terms of your overall health, because we know treating a person with emphysema and all those other related, if you're diabetic and you smoke, you're hurting your heart. And what are the highest causes of death among our people? Cancer, heart disease, and stroke. And all of those things are compounded by diabetes. So yeah, you may have some short-term revenue drops, but not very much. But in terms of the overall long-term effects on the community, on the local people in the community, these are people that we're talking about. Those short-term profits, a few $1,000s, are nothing compared to the long-term health effects. And so, that's what we're taught as leaders, to think about 7 generations from now. What is it that you want your children and your grandchildren to be dealing with? Do we want them to still be dealing with cancer, diabetes, obesity, heart disease? We can change that. There was an elected official, her name was Sharon Stinson Henry, and she was from a reserve in Canada. They had a huge casino, Casino Rama, and they had 600 suites, not 600 rooms, 600 suites. And when the province was going to go smoke-free, she wanted their casino to go smoke-free. And she counted the votes on her council, 5 members, just like you, and she didn't have the votes. So she told her health director, look at the health records of children in homes where people smoke. And when she was able to present that to the council, and the council could see all of, the ear infections, asthma, all those things that were suffered by children where their parents smoked in the home, it was very clear to the council. And one of the council members, when he seen that information, he said, I'm going to quit smoking on January 4th. Not on January 1, because that's too hard, but January 4th, and he did. And they made their casino smoke-free. And we invited her to Minnesota and invited her to talk to all tribal officials. This was like 7 or 8 years ago. And that casino, they changed their rooms. Their utilization rate on those suites are over 100%. Because people come in from Toronto, an hour and a half. They're an hour and a half from Toronto. People come in, they use a room, and then they leave. So we know that that this may not be the most popular thing, but it's an exercise of your sovereignty as a nation if you do this, if you create this tax. And on these 2 things that are harmful to our people, and I say this as somebody who's been in recovery for a long time. And I think I was 23 years old when I stopped using, and so I know, and I stopped smoking in 2000. So I know, I've done all these things, and but just because I did them doesn't mean my children or my grandchildren, have to do these same things. So we ask you to consider this, and it was put together, these ordinances are put together by Representative Susan Allen, and also she's the chair of our board, and also Mark Erickson. So thank you.
Can I add
Yeah.
to that? One of the things I want to share with you is that, so when I said that 80% of Minnesotans don't smoke, that's because they were able to utilize the tax increase. They used that to create prevention. They used that to fund this very tribe, to give them money to be in positions where we can do prevention cessation. Without them, you guys wouldn't have that free smoking room downstairs today. That was created because them two people who work on this tribe have been working hard to do that, to create a better generation for the rest of our people. And without that sales tax increase, the state of Minnesota wouldn't be where they are. They wouldn't have the means to reduce the amount of people that smoke without the education, without the awareness. This is a really small step for the tribe to take, but again, like Sharon said, this is also a way for us to practice our sovereignty. We don't have to follow suit with what the Minnesota legislator's doing. We don't. I've been kind of the liaison between that of what the city is doing, what departments our local cities and counties are doing. St. Louis Park just went to ban all flavored tobacco products within their retail stores and went to T21, changed the age to 21. There are now 5 counties that have done that. So I just see this as a way for us to help our people with drugs and alcohol, and opiates is a huge thing right now. It's not just here, it's everywhere. And it's so easy to get. And our people are dropping off by the numbers. So we need that money to create a treatment center, to fund, to do sweat lodges, to do it in a ceremonial way, to do it the way we were meant to do it, to use tobacco the way it was supposed to be used, as a medicine. Miigwech.
Oh, Garrett? Garrett?
I think the programs are a great idea. We have a lot of the budgetary issues that we've had over here. I just think you're going to be better on the bottom line if you don't propose it as a tax. You take, if you're losing revenue when you're going to propose a tax like this. We're forecasting that you're going to lose the sales from the extra sales of it. So if you take it from, if it's budgeted accordingly, with the money that's already, given, you're going to do better on the bottom line. With the tax, if you're losing revenue by doing a tax like that, I think the programs are great. I'm a non-smoker myself, love the wellness center over here. Anything to help the community, that's great, it's positive stuff. But I just think when you propose something as a tax in our smaller communities over here, the perception is, I don't know what everyone else thinks about taxes in here, but I know there's a lot of negative stuff, especially, with politics.
Yeah. Well, one of the things we know is that when the state raises their tobacco sales tax on cigarettes, it reduces the number of people smoking. And I think that ought to be our goal, is to reduce the number of people smoking as greatly as we can, simply because of the health effects.
Yeah, I guess my take on it is, the dollars that we could budget and send to tobacco prevention and all these programs that are worthwhile. I think for me, that's the way that we need to go, because people, they're gonna, if they don't smoke here, they're gonna go down the road and smoke, and that's the That's just the true fact of the matter. And, you know, so I think these things are good ideas, they're good programs, worthwhile, but, you know, to me, it's basic business to just, you can't try to fix something that's gonna hurt the overall budget. You know, and we can do it the other way, where we just plan and budget it and taxes, nobody likes that word, so I think it will just have a negative outcome. So for next year's budget the money that they need for their programs, and we're just kind of, that's my take on it.
Thank you, Brandon. I know that one of the concerns that I've heard, and this is just a concern, is that with the C-store, which is located in Net Lake, basically it's our own people that are utilizing that store, and you know, we'd be taxing our, and I don't like the word tax either, but I'll use it, taxing our own people. Oh, I'm sorry. Taxing our own people, and you know, we are kind of economically disadvantaged in Net Lake, being the only store in town. So, Gordy, did you want to say something?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Madam Chairman, because it's like we all shop for the cheapest gas. When we see a gas station that's selling gas that's 2 cents cheaper, I'm going to go to that store. I'm guilty of that also as well. Being the previous overseer of the Net Lake C-store, the same thing's going to happen with those cigarette sales up in Net Lake. They'll purchase them in ore, they'll purchase them elsewhere, thereby declining sales in Net Lake. And I agree with Representative Brandon's idea that they're seeking money to do this, and in which they're very, very good programs, because you know, I support them. But if there's better ways of doing or proposing a tax, because that's what it is. You're going to see cigarette sales decline at the Net Lake C-store, and what you just said, you know, hit it right on the nail. They need all the sales and all the help and everything that they can get. So if you start losing that market, which is a pretty good market there in that way, they're going to wind up going to ore or cook or wherever else to get those cigarettes. It's just like I mentioned that people see gas sales 2 cents cheaper, they're going to go to that store. It's the same thing with cigarettes. That's just the way marketing is. That's just the way people shop. They look for a better deal.
Thank you, Gordy. Ray?
Yeah, I think, you know, I'm all for prevention of smoking and alcohol use, but I think the frightening word for me is tax, and we don't really tax on reservations. You know, we charge some fees for utilities and things like that because we need to maintain those, and we do a lot of grant writing and to generate revenue. And I've always viewed it in place of a tax base since the onset of gaming is the revenues that we generate in gaming. And I think maybe that's a better source, you know, rather than these fund, the few dollars, you know, we're saving. Well, somebody gets considerable as you increase the percentage, but I think our people are being indirectly taxed because most of them pay to do gaming. So they're paying their own fees, so to speak, or through using the gaming facility, and those revenues come back to support programs as well as all the people in the area that come to our casino. So I'm really not liking the terminology of taxing, and I think we are using our, what we call our tax base, based on generation of revenues through our gaming facilities. So, and I think we would be discouraging, use of our bars and our gift shops that sell cigarettes and alcohol. And so it would have a detrimental effect, I think, revenue-wise, like has been pointed out several times. So this, I think there's another way to do it to support tobacco cessation programs and minimization of alcohol use. There are programs that we currently operate we could stand to improve on, but there are other sources of revenue.
Kim?
Well, instead of
Kim?
is it Don?
I think so.
You guys hear me? Yeah, instead of imposing a new tax on the cigarettes, the equivalent of that you were going to increase on taxes, could you not have Fortune Bay and the C-Store put that exact amount aside, specifically designated for
Prevention.
In the budget.
Yeah, I mean, but it's based on their sales, it's not based on a set amount or whatever, and so it's not an additional cost to a customer, but it's permanently funding something towards prevention. Just an idea.
Thank you.
Okay, can I,
Go ahead, Suzanne.
I get the economics, I get the revenue. I understand that, at a cultural level, like one of the things that what we're trying to do with this is to preserve the prevention and cessation positions that are in place now. With their grants end in July, them dollars go away. The tribe has not ever funded that big of a dollar amount for prevention and cessation. So doing the math, doing the homework, working with Susan Allen and Mark and trying to figure out a way that we could keep the tribe sustained with revenue coming in without taking smoking out completely. Commercial tobacco is the enemy. The way that it was formed, the way that it was created and colonized, and it's still, from history and historical trauma, we're still dealing with that. We're still dealing with the colonization of commercial tobacco, and we're continuing to hurt our people at what cost? At a cost of the bottom line budget? I don't know. I guess, I support your decision and whatever you do, but I'm heartbroken today because at the end of the day, it's about our people. And if we're going to be sovereign and we're going to walk that path and walk in a good way, we need to start thinking about our people, not the bottom line. Miigwech.
Miigwech. Wait, not
I just have one question. Suzanne, how many other bands have passed this resolution so far?
What was that?
How many reservations have passed this resolution so far?
We will be the first.
Be the first.
And the reason I brought it to our attention is because a few years ago when we had a conference here, we had Susan Allen come up and talk about the sales compact dollars. And one of the things I've been asking at the national level, at Minnesota, where the money that comes in and our money, so we collect taxes now, and everybody that buys cigarettes here, and it goes back to the state, and the state divvies it up based upon how many natives are enrolled. That's the money that we get back in here. So we're still in those who don't live on the reservation, who are native, we're still being taxed. You know, and we have a lot of people that are enrolled here that don't live here. So that got me thinking about the compact sales tax, and I started to ask questions, and I wanted to learn how could we become sustainable as a nation without having to ask for government money all the time, because them monies are going away, because they too put it in a general fund, which covers everything. So the sales tax that we collect right now goes back into the tribe, into the general fund, am I correct?
Is that correct, Kim? Yep.
Yes. So, yes. And so that's why it got me thinking, a separate tax, you wouldn't have to dip into your general fund. A separate tax would help create them positions that we need to work on prevention for our communities. So that's why I did that. It wasn't to create chaos or to hurt the bottom line. It was really to think about our future and how we as a tribe can be sustainable and successful.
Yeah, I do, well, and I understand what you're talking about, and I'd like to maybe see if we could, you know, discuss this a little more in depth, you know, when, you know, maybe within the next couple of weeks or something. 'Cause I'm not sure if this going to be acted on or not, but you know, I know what smoking does, and I've never smoked cigarettes in my life ever, and I don't even like the way it smells. Even when I you know, I'm not much of a gambler, but when I do game once in a while, you know, I go in there, but I don't stay in there very long because the cigarette smoke is so terrible in the casinos. It just makes, you know, my nose starts running and my eyes water up, but I know what the alcohol, or, you know, and what the cigarette smoke can do to a person, but I'd like to maybe, you know, see us, you know, discuss this, you know, at a little bit more length or something, because I'm not sure if it's gonna even might not even get voted on here today. So
Yeah, you know, just for the record, you know, all 5 of the council members sitting here are non-smokers, you know, and so, you know, we understand on a personal level, and I agree, this ain't a small thing, this is a big thing, and there's nothing small about this. When you start saying tax and wanting to be the first and whatever else, this is a huge thing. And you know, my take on it is, you know, we can look at it again, but everything we do and everything we operate, and the reasons we're put here is based on the bottom line, not only for cigarettes and whatever else. It's about housing, it's about jobs, it's about everything pertaining to the band and our people and the services that we can try and provide. So I'd just like, you know, that to be on the record, that, yeah, we get that cigarette smoking is probably not the best thing to do. And all 5 of us know that because we live that personally, but we also have a job to serve our band membership in a lot of different areas, not just smoking prevention, and this is a big thing. So
I guess
I'm okay to vote on it today, or I'm okay to discuss it more.
Lorna?
Um,
Thank you, Lorna. What I'd like to say is that I really think that the word tax is bad, of course, especially now during this political time with tax reform and everything else, but maybe revisiting this, the council's agreeing or could talk about it, looking at prevention. I think we know that prevention saves a lot of money, and maybe looking at creative ways in which to still get our prevention dollars, but in a different way. I guess that's what I would like to propose to the council, that we discuss in light of this presentation here today, that we really look at funding or finding additional funding in a creative way, whether it's through the sales tax agreement revenue, like Kim had mentioned, or Lorna, and also maybe with working with Fortune Bay at possibly delegating certain dollars for prevention, and being creative, but being the first to do so in that manner. You know what I'm saying? And I commend your work. I really do. I have emphysema from smoking, and that's what made me quit. But it's a very addictive. Nicotine is very addictive, and our alcohol the same way, and the opioids. We have to keep putting money into prevention, and we all know that here. But maybe we need to do a better effort to do that and come up with a creative way of doing that from today forward. But I want to thank you for coming up today and bringing this to us. And then also I'd like to see and ask you a question, Suzanne. Are you going to be approaching other tribes with this? If so, can you let us know the outcomes of those also?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Council? Okay. Miigwech.
Okay, well, Miranda and Joel are here. Do you want us to proceed as normal, or do you just want to move on with the agenda?
We can just go normal.
Okay. Miranda? 401k loan.
Good morning.
Good morning, Miranda.
Sorry I was late. I didn't realize the meeting was up here, so I was working.
Okay.
What you have before you, excuse me, are a few items that we had discussed at the investment committee. It's also, one of them is in response to the budget that was passed by the RTC. But the first item, and it's not a popular item with our employees, is to reduce the amount of loans our employees are allowed to take out of our 401k from 1 to 0. That would be effective in 2020. We could stretch that out a little bit if we wanted to, because that's just 2 years from now. So, what my question would be, is that enough time for employees to work on their credit, plan accordingly? I don't know. And so that's the first issue that we have before you.
One of the things, when you look at how much our employees are putting aside for their own retirement, unfortunately, it's not very much. People are not planning for their futures or putting money aside. And when they're allowed to take loans, that greatly impacts how much money they have in their 401ks. Now, when we had our employee health fair on the tribal government side, I had some charts up, and I had it broke down by category of, kind of bands of like, how old you were, you know, so like by 10 years. So I think it was the people between, was it 50 and 60? On average, those people only had $50,000 in their retirement account. And they should be considerably more than that, because, you know, retirement, and the retirement age is everybody between 65 and 67 when you can take full Social Security. But life expectancies now are in the 80s, mid-80s. And so this past year alone, the 401ks, if you have it invested, some people are making up to 15% in income earnings on their 401k balances. And if you do that in comparison to, because I also had another chart comparing the cost of a 401k loan versus a standard loan like at the credit union. This year, if you have something in there and took something out because of your lost earnings on that, really the net cost is probably about $4,000 more for a $5,000 loan over the 5-year period. It's really significant. Up until about the early 2000s, there was absolutely no loans on our 401k plan. Then they added hardship, is that correct? Hardship distributions. And then they added one loan, and then they added 2 loans. Well, if you were vested, if you had money, if you had worked at Fortune Bay and you had worked at the tribal government, those monies aren't mixed. You have 2 separate plans, and you were allowed 2 loans and a hardship distribution out of both. So we had people who had several loans out, and then having those loans almost creates another problem for their day-to-day, you know, living, because they're paying all their money back to pay those loans. And if they end employment for some reason, those loans are terminated, and then they pay a 10% penalty. And so we're not doing the fiduciary responsibility to our employees to help, you know, it's just too easy to go in and get a 401k loan. So this would remain, they would have the hardship distributions would be available.
Okay, that was one of my questions.
But not just for everyday expenses, is where we're going with this.
One of the differences between the 401k loan and a traditional loan, you know, at the credit union is they will look at your, you know, your credit worthiness, your pay, your personal obligation, financial obligations already. And so if you're already upside down, you're not going to get, you know, a loan most likely at a credit union. Whereas if you're already upside down and you come in and take a loan out of your 401k, you're just going further and further into debt, and there's really nothing with the 401k loan, you know, to stop them from doing that. So we're not really watching out for our employees in those situations. And there were employees with 4 loans. You know, they can pay them, and so they do.
That was one of my questions, was the hardship, but you answered that still will be included as a part of the 401k
And those are very
plan.
specific reasons, you
Yep,
know,
yep.
you can take those out. And so you do have to provide documentation, and if you don't have very good documentation, for example, one of them is for college tuition expenses for your, you know, dependents. Another one is to, you know, fix your home if there's some sort of catastrophe. You know, I mean, they're
Yep.
very specific, and they are situations where employees, you know, would need the help, and they would be able to take that money out of their 401k.
Yeah.
So it's a set percentage that we donate to the 401k.
We match. we don't, it's not, we used to have a set
We
percentage,
match what that
but,
they
yeah,
save?
the percent. Yeah, and
That's
that's,
changing
that's
anything
just,
now.
yeah, because you already voted on that before.
Okay.
I know when the loans for the 401K plan came out that we didn't have the credit union at the time. And now we've added the credit union, or another option for staff to utilize an entity right on the reservation for loans for helping them out with whatever they may need. Ray, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've always supported not giving loans. I remember when we had the early discussions on it, I didn't get anywhere and was
And what year was that, Tootie, do you remember?
Probably the first year I was on, that was in 2006.
Okay.
You know, and, but I mean, to me, taking a loan on your 401K, other than hardship, I understand that, but it's defeating the purpose of your long-term retirement goals. And I don't know, maybe I understood it better because I was closer, and I am closer to retirement. So I would be an advocate. I think, you know, people, if there's a hardship, they have an opportunity to get some help. But, you know, to buy a new car or something like that, there are other ways, especially now. Kathy mentioned the credit union. There's other ways to do it, so. And I think we're looking out for the best interests of the employees if you can, you know, convince them to leave it there for the long-range retirement benefits. So I would be in support of not allowing any loans.
Lorna?
I was curious to know what you would say the percentage of employees who are doing what you did and RTC has gotten those. And talking about 5 people, 100 people,
I would just, this is a complete guess, I would think it's 50% of our employees, at least. Yeah.
not for
That, yeah, early withdrawals is a whole other thing, but loans,
I guess, and then the other thing is what, is first time employer or
Yes.
part of the hardship?
yes, it is. Yep.
The, one thing people forget when they apply, because they don't pay the fee up front to apply for a 401K loan, right off the top, it's a $125 application fee. Plus, there's another fee that goes to the administrators of $100 for every year you have the loan out. So above and beyond the interest, you know, and your lost opportunity, you're also paying, so if you had a loan for 5 years, you're paying an extra $525 just to the pension administrators for record-keeping purposes.
So what would be the success percentage of people that are actually taking money and putting it aside for their retirement right now?
It's very low. These numbers were from back in October when this first was put on the agenda. The average age of our employees is 43 and a half, and the average account balance is $23,500. And so we have employees very close to retirement age, past traditional retirement age, that have very, very little in their accounts. It's viewed by our employees as a savings account that they can take a loan against, rather than a retirement. And so that's one thing, and it's you know, kind of a goal of ours at the government side as well as Fortune Bay, to be able to educate our employees a little bit more on the 401K, because it's viewed as a savings account. It's viewed as, oh, I
they don't have the means or in their reporting.
So it's kind of a program that is, I would say probably doesn't sound very successful in what it was intended for. My other question is, and this is just kind of thinking on my own, but, you know, somebody making, you know, 90,000, 80,000, it's easier for them to put away 100 or 200 a paycheck, as opposed it is to somebody that's working, you know, paycheck to paycheck, and you know, so that was the reason I asked about the percentages, and you know, what I guess where this program started, originated, and where it came from. There's a big discrepancy in what and how much somebody can put away, and the decisions that are made, basically condemning the people that find it a little harder to make it week to week.
When did we finally get the 401k? About 1995, yeah. Because we had tried a few different pension plans, but so the 401k had been around for a long time, and we had argued against for a very long time having the loans because of it goes, you know, it costs the people so much that they don't realize it. But but because you make a little or you make a lot, it is not all the high people put in. A lot of the lower paid people put in. They put some in. They put, you know, everybody has a different amount they put in. But there's some of our very top employees, high wage earners, that don't put anything in. And for lower paid people who are, is it 40,000 or 35,000? I can't remember. They can get up to $1,000 tax credit on their tax returns for contributing to their 401ks.
So, and the cost to us, or the hardship on us, you know, what is it?
Really, in the end, if they're not planning for their future, if they're band members or community members, the future tribal councils will have to support them somehow in their golden years.
And, you know, I guess I'd like to know how many people, band members, retired, you know, with their 401k. I just, you know, I guess I'm kind of, the more and more I look at this, the more I'm having a little bit of a problem. Number one, it's like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to give you this money, and hope it all, you do the right thing with it. To me, when you give somebody money, you gave it to them, and my feeling is, yeah, we can't tell them what to do with their money. That's my take on it.
Retirement plans under the ERISA Act, the employees can't take the money, you know, they can take a loan like that or have a hardship distribution, but it's supposed to grow tax-free, you know, until then, and there's laws on it and stuff. So the only way, if you don't take a loan, is one of the problems we have is when people separate employment with us, they take their they don't roll it, you know, probably 90% of the people don't leave it or roll it to another plan, they take the distribution. Well, not only do they have to pay income tax on it that year, there's also a 10% penalty, tax penalty on top of that until because you cannot take that money without the tax penalty until you're 59 and a half.
So again, my question is, taking the money, the money that we give doesn't hurt the tribal government.
No.
And who does the checks? Do we do the checks?
Nope.
No.
Okay, so there's no extra burden on accounting?
Oh, there's a big burden with the loan payments because do you guys have three or two, or do you have 3 pots of money for like your older employees? Because I think there's the original stuff that we had prior to 1995 is in one category. Another category is how much it's called the employee deferral. And then there's the part that's the tribal government part, employer contribution. So when you take a loan out, you have to designate which pot of money it came out. And so when we had people who had the hardship and the 2 loans for each one, they could have it out of all 3 pots. So then when you remit, you have to deduct it in each of one of those categories for each one of those loans, and you have to remit it back to there. So really, you could have 24, up to maybe 24 deductions for a loan for someone.
And that was my question. What hardship
really,
does it, what does taking these loans out, how does this affect why we're bringing this here? You know, what I guess what business is it? And it's the accounting, the actual, the amount of work it puts on the accounting staff.
No, not necessarily. We're here because of the investment committee as a fiduciary duty to help our employees, you know, because there's the designated investment committee, and our duty is to ensure that we do the best for the employees.
Gloria?
Good morning. My name is Gloria Love, and I work in the accounting department here at Fortune Bay. We all began this back in 1995, but in the past 10 years, how much education has there been? I'm listening to Kim, and she's an accountant. She has a degree. How much education has there been for the employees? We have remained with the same people for all of these years, and I'm not exactly sure. Do you know where your 401k is, and do you know which is the highest risk for you, which is the lowest? What can you do with your 401k? What can you not do with your 401k? Where does the education come from? Do you do that when people enroll in the 401k, or do you have people come in and try to explain this whole thing that we are trying to do right now in a couple of minutes? We can't do it. People have to have time to understand this, to soak it in, and then come back and talk to you about what they want to do with their 401k plan. And Brandon, as a band member, when I left Fortune Bay, I rolled my entire investment, my entire 401k into another. And that's what I am living in. Other than, thank you very much for employing me now. But that's my question for you two. How much education are you giving to your employees? Do they understand what the loans are doing to them?
We
Thank you.
provide education quarterly. We have UBS, and that was a decision by the financial bankers, the investment committee. They come up quarterly, and I know I've told you guys this previously. I am not happy with their services. Fortune Bay is not happy with their services. We provide education to our employees, a
upon hire, because we have, our employees on the government side are immediately eligible for the 401k. At Fortune Bay, they have a period of time where employees must work, I think it's a year, before they're eligible to participate in the 401k. So I believe Fortune Bay relies on the financial advisors, who is again UBS, to provide that education to their employees. We had the education that Kim gave to our employees at the healthcare recently. One of my staff came in and was super excited, super impressed, because she had sat and talked with Kim. We sat one day at lunch and we were just discussing the 401k, and she said, you know, she had learned so much. And so we were just talking to her about just increasing by 1%, starting at 1% of your salary. Whether you're a low wage earner or a high wage earner, you know, 1% is a good start. And then you increase, you know, as you can. And so it's not a huge impact to your employees. But that employee of mine was, like I said, super excited. And I asked her, I said, we have UBS come here quarterly, and you're more excited now, and you work here, you know, a number of months. Why don't you go see UBS? And she just said, I don't know. And so the company that we have providing education to our employees is something that we're going to be looking at in the future. But our employees, you know, we provide that information to them. We try to provide the education to them. It's just not a good way to give it to them, because our employees don't go to the educational meetings. They sat and talked with Kim for 10-15 minutes over lunch, and maybe 10-15 minutes at the health fair, and she's ready to increase her, you know, the money she puts away. Going back to one of Brandon's comments, the 5% match that we provide. If an employee is looking at this as a savings account, yes, it is their money, it is. But if they're paying taxes and penalties, that money, that fringe benefit that the tribal government is giving to our employees isn't going to the employees. A portion of it is going to pay taxes. There's that word again. Sorry. Yeah. But it's going to pay the taxes. It's going to pay the penalties. Whereas if an employee doesn't take money out of their 401k, it truly does go to them. And so, you know, by providing better education, not allowing our employees to withdraw as soon as they're able to, you know, withdraw that money and paying penalties and taxes, the generous money that the tribal council does give them doesn't go to them.
So I think what you know, two perspectives. I think when you just really just boil everything down and just get to the bare facts of you know, the perspective of how you want to look at this, or how everybody wants to look at it. I think there's two things that we need to there's two ways to look at it. Number one, okay, this is our money that we're giving to you as a fringe benefit, and this is how you're going to handle it, which, you know, you look at that side of it and you say, that's our right. That's our right to say that, because we are giving you the money. It's basically free money that we're giving to you, and this is how you're going to do it. Whether people want to say it's for their benefit or whatever, those arguments will be there. Now, the other way to look at it is if I say, okay, you gave me this money, now you're going to tell me what to do with it. You know, I guess that's the debate. Which way are you gonna look at it? Which way do our employees wanna look at it? Which way do they see it? And, you know, I think, is it a thing where you let the employees vote on it and the majority wins? Or something? Because I see it both ways now. And, you know, I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I think those are the two ways to do it. Number one, we're giving you this money, and this is how it's going to be utilized to your benefit. Number two, you've given me this money, and you can't tell me what to do with it. So, I don't know what you guys think.
This money is specific for a 401K. If you want to truly say, here, do what you want with it, give everybody the cash on their paycheck. You know, that's the part of this money that's kind of getting lost, is this is retirement money, it's 401K money. So there are special rules that you as the tribal government can put on that money. You can decide, no, we're not going to give you anything, you're on your own for retirement. You know, thank goodness you don't, because like I said, it is very generous. But this used to be 5%, now it's 2.5%. It's specific to the 401K.
Yeah, the only thing that you're talking about giving to the employee is the small percentage of their contribution. Most of it is their money that they're putting in the 401K, right? I mean,
Yep,
and you're only giving like on $100,000. You say $100,000 a year salary. You're saying previously, you're saying we're going to contribute 5% of that. So you're going to give $5,000 towards that 401K program. And if you're making $20,000 a year, then you're giving, what is that, $500 towards that. That's or 1,000 would be 5%. But now you're dropping that to 2.5%. So on $100,000, your contribution is 2,000, or the government's contribution is 2,500. Is that right?
Yep.
And then on a $20,000 salary, your contribution is going to be 2.5%, which would be 500. And what I'm looking at is, you know, I wanted to bring this up. I'm looking at it seems to me to be an inequity there, because naturally the person making the higher salary is able to contribute more, so he's going to get a higher contribution from tribal government. And the $20,000 a year employee is only getting 500 compared to that 2,500. So I was just thinking maybe we could even the playing field a little bit, and saying, hey, our contribution is going to be, we'll match the first $1,000 every year. That way you're not the $100,000 employee that can afford to pay a higher amount towards his 401K is getting the same match as that $20,000 a year employee. If that employee wants to put in, you know, $1,000, you know, the 20% or the whatever matches up to 1,000, you know, whatever he puts in.
That, you know, that makes all the sense to me. I would support that, given an even amount to everybody. And, you know, I truly believe that when all of these things were established and the COLAs and all this other stuff, you know, at the bare root of everything was, you know, percentages and how it benefited people making more money. And so I think that's a great idea.
it's a
But
good
then I'd like
idea,
to
but
say the
we-
most important thing is getting people, as Gloria had said and other people have said, is education. They gotta understand when they're young or midlife or whenever, how important it is to prepare for your retirement. And I'm getting close, and I have prepared, so I'm ready, but I don't know if there's a lot of people that are, you said there's a large percentage that are retiring without any benefits at all, and we're gonna end up paying for that one way or the other. So if everybody had $1,000 towards their 401K, then it would be equitable.
Can we research that because of the ERISA laws?
Okay?
There's some things regarding,
Yeah.
for example, what is it, top 5% of our employees, we can't
Yeah.
give them extra money. There's different things we're
Okay.
gonna have to look into.
With regards to the 401K plan loan reduction though, this wouldn't be effective until 2020, so it's not like it would stop immediately or this year. It gives people a time to get prepared for, if this is passed, to not be able to take loans out after 2020. A question I have is, what if somebody wants to apply for a loan, say, between now and 2020?
They would be able to take it unless they currently have a loan.
Okay.
And so if the current employee has a loan for the next 4 years, so they're gonna pay until 2021, they're done. They're not gonna be able to
Okay.
take another loan from the 401K.
Okay.
So that was kind of my, if we go with 2020, that gives us about 2 years to let them know, but if we want to go to 2021, we could do that too. But
Okay.
And I guess one of the last things that, that I would like to, just, we were talking, was brought up that we're eventually gonna have to take care of these people that retire. I would like to know who we take care of now, that is retired. I mean, do we send our elders a check every month? Who takes care of their income now? I think it's SSI and all that other stuff, so.
where they're still working,
Yeah.
if they're not able to retire.
Yeah, and that's their choice.
Personally, and I'm just going to make this comment, I see the pros with a 401K plan and retirement, but I've also seen the downside on the other side with regards to the disadvantage of having that retirement when you age and having health care issues. Hopefully everybody when they retire are healthy. And I'm going to use my parents as an example. I was a caregiver of my elderly parents, and they both had health issues, but my dad worked for the U.S. Post Office for many years and had a retirement. And what happened, though, is, as they aged, they lived to be in their 80s. Facilities such as assisted livings or nursing homes did take that money, so they didn't have the option to really enjoy the full benefits of retirement. So I've seen the good and bad side of retirement. I've seen where a lot of people have issues happen where they're not eligible for programs for people to take care of them in their homes. So, I mean, it's just, it's a catch-22. Sometimes it all depends on your health care and how healthy you are. Lorna?
Right, and I just add to that, for an example, my dad worked
Yep.
since he was 3 years old. He never had a 401K. He lived off the money that he got, paycheck to paycheck. He never retired, but he did get SSI, and that's what he lived on. He had health care through reservation, so that was his choice. And I hate to see the reservation
So it is, isn't, the 401K is optional.
It's voluntary, employees can choose to contribute
Right.
or not.
Right, I see auto enrollment and then auto options. And I understand auto enrollment still needs the option to opt out of it.
Correct.
I'm just concerned about.
Well, one of the things that, Kathy and you kind of said, and excuse me if I'm twisting your words, I don't intend to, but one of the things is to have a comfortable retirement. None of our people are able to really do that. It's a very small percentage.
Yep.
And on the other hand, there are collateral expenses to the tribal government, with our health insurance program, if could be a workers' comp, if they're not, able to move around very well, there could be other financial implications to the tribal government, by employees working longer than, maybe they should.
Yes. Yes. The other thing I guess I wanted to say is I really think, and I agree with Ray, and I think the whole council would agree, is that education is key. When you talk 401ks and you have no accounting or that type of background, it's Greek. I mean, you really need to, it needs to be in a I'm not trying to say people are not knowledgeable, or I don't want to say dumb or stupid, but it has to be in simple terms, because it's really difficult to understand coming from a person that I don't know much about 401ks. I know it's a retirement. I know it's for when I get older, I'll have some comfortable living or whatever, but the penalties, the administration fees, the loan costs with the paying the administrators and that type of thing. There's a lot of education that needs to be done, and I think we see that as a great need because it hasn't been done in the past. And I think that that's something that I sit on the investment committee, and I think that's something that we as an investment committee need to ensure that our staff, our employees, are very well educated, and looking at people that can do that in a good way with our staff. It'd be nice if Kim could do little in-services, but her job is to be our CFO. I mean, she can explain it very well. And it's easy to understand someone that you know for quite a long time. You trust what they're telling you. So those are things I think that the investment committee needs to work on, is the education component, like Gloria said also, and that's key. So, any other comments? If not, what do we want to do with the 401k plan loan reduction?
If it's 20,020, why do we got to do it now? Maybe save it for the next council. They probably could change it anyway.
Yeah, they could. No, Brandon said why are we doing it now if it's...
What's that? The reason for doing it now is so that the employees had plenty of, if you pass it now, it was so that they had plenty of warning to do that, so they have a future to take care, is all. It was more of that was for their benefit.
So they have the opportunity to take a loan out if they want to, or cancel their 401k or whatever.
Or get financially educated.
Yeah.
And work on their credit, because
work on credit in order to be able to get more traditional loans out of the credit.
Yeah, I think it's as long as they have an opportunity for what do you call it? The type of loan that's allowed now. Hardship loan. As long as they have that opportunity, and they have an opportunity till 2020 to prepare, I would make a motion that we offer, just not allow any loans other than the hardship loan. It's to go into effect 2020.
There's a motion made by Ray. Dave, did you want to say something?
Yeah, Miranda, just to, I'm getting back to the educating of our employees now. And I know that the advisors come up quarterly, right? And they set days aside where staff can go in and set a time to meet with the advisor and look at where their money's invested at and how it's doing. And I know that most of our employees do sign up to attend those, right? What is our percentage of our employees that go to those and talk to the advisors? 'Cause I know in the past, you know, when before Teresa passed away, we used to always go down and set up a time, and there was times that they said, well, they're filling up. You know, we're filling up with the appointment schedule, and there was other times where we went down and when we couldn't get in because all the appointment times were all taken, and so then we'd have to wait, and then the people would stay around till after 4:30, and then we'd go in maybe after 4:30 and kind of meet with them. But
I'm not sure what drives the appointments, whether they're full or not. Sometimes we don't get many to sign up, and sometimes, you know, like you said, they're full. So there is no real trend, or 75% of our employees take appointments.
And then also, I know that our employees do get reports from the financial advisors on they're mailed to them directly, right?
That's from Boya, not from the financial.
Not from the financial. Okay.
That's
okay.
from Boya.
That's okay. So, but if employees have questions, they can call the advisors anytime too, right?
They can. Yeah, they can.
I mean, it's an option there.
Yes.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to approve the 401k plan loan reduction to become effective 2020, and that will just be to include a hardship loan rather than a 401k setup loan the way it is today. Made by Ray, is there a second? Seconded by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Against.
Silent. Motion carried.
Do you want to tackle the next 3 items, or would you like to have a separate meeting to answer questions?
I would.
Is there?
Want to have a separate meeting?
Yeah, I would like to have a discussion on what we can do that's more fair and equitable with the government contribution towards that. If you know, I kind of tried to explain it before. I don't know if it
well,
came
we have
through.
to do some, just to verify, I'm not an expert on ERISA laws off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But there is one on there for the 2.5% contribution. When we did the budgets, you already moved to do that. This is just the formal part in the 401k to move to a 2.5% match. Because we...
This is just for a year, right?
Yeah, you can change it again. I mean...
Okay.
Oh, Jenna?
Jenna, I'm the director of the Charter, unfortunately. I just want to say that the agenda says that it's a voice for government and Fortune Bay Enterprises, or voice for enterprises. The BFDC said is not looking to reduce on that term, do automatic increases or automatic increases.
Okay.
What is your match percentage?
We're at 5%.
You're at 5%?
Yep. For the BFDC employees.
Okay, I guess what I would like to suggest at this time, since we're not on the same page and this affects both sides,
We
that...
wouldn't have to. We do that with all of our vendors. Because it's different now. The
Mhm.
government has a different plan than we do right now. And so we don't have to. The government side could go through with their changes, and we can leave ours the way it is. So we don't have to make sweeping changes. Just like I said, they're different now than the other. So if the government's saying they want to do their thing, do that.
Does it take anything to do with Ford Enterprises out of there, huh?
So you guys match 5% if they're putting in 5%, or
Yes.
it's not automatic 5%?
Yeah, we'll match 100% up to the first 5%. But that's after 1 year and 1,000 hours of service. So our.
Well, I guess my question is, you know, if we had to go to 2.5%,
I know.
why isn't Fortune Bay at 2.5% match?
Okay.
What's the difference with employees?
Yep. I'd like to request to table this item so that Fortune Bay and the government side can get together along with the investment committee to discuss this portion.
You already voted, though, in October to make us go to 2.5% on our budgets, when we did our budgets.
So we're approving this for Fortune Bay's side this way, is that what you're saying? Because if we've already approved ours, why are we approving it again?
Well, because, well, part of it is same contributions.
But we didn't even talk to Fortune Bay about their side yet, so should we just, how should we do this? Can't we
It's up to
just?
you.
Well, if we don't do anything, is the contribution remain at 5%?
No, you already, well, in the budget, even
In the
for,
budget- in the-
this is for, to send into our pension administrators. When we did the budgets, you voted that you were only budgeting for 2.5%.
Correct.
You could change it back to 5%, but then that's gonna have an impact
On
on
the
the
budget.
overall budgets on
Yes.
the government side, therefore reducing the savings that you put in place of it.
Yeah.
We may have to look at that. I mean, maybe the revenues look different now than they did. I don't know.
I'd like to call for a motion to table this line item right now until we can get together. And between Jenna and Miranda, if you can schedule that meeting soon, so we can get this item, this needs to get completed. So I'll call for a motion to table.
Move to table.
Moved by Ray, is there a second? Second by Dave, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Thank you, Miranda and Kim.
Thank you.
Next, we have Joel with a resolution for the police board.
Got too many
We're
questions.
running into too much. Why do we have to, when they don't?
Services addendum.
Well, that's right. Like I said, the tail's been wagging the dog for a while here. So I'm ready to tell them to,
Well, that has to be fair across the board.
yeah. I mean,
Mike's. Good morning, Mr. Astleford.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. I have two resolutions in front of you. The first one would be to approve the tribal transportation improvement plan from fiscal year 2018 to 2021. These, on this sheet, these are the projects that could possibly come about. Doesn't mean we're going to do them, but in order to spend our money on them, they have to be on this,
On the plan.
which is updated every year.
So Joel, you go around and look at the various roads and whatever and kind of do a overview of what you feel the need needs to be at that time?
Yep, and this year's is a little more extensive this year and next year because, in case there's a possibility there's an infrastructure grant, everything's ready to roll.
Okay.
I like your shirt, Joel.
Joel, I've got a question on, wondering why on your summary plan, you've got Tibbetts Trail as a year of construction of 2018, And then on the itemized sheet, I think that's the last one. It's on there as 2021.
Yeah, not all the money is allotted for on the 2018. Right now, it's just planning money and construction engineering money. And then 2021 is for construction. Not saying that's gonna happen then, because if we don't get the infrastructure, chances are we're gonna go through and chip seal all the roads,
Okay.
which will give us another 5 to 10 years on it.
Why don't you just put 2021 in that cover sheet then? You know, if you look at that first page, it says
First page of this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that year of construction he's
year of
talking.
construction.
Oh, well, that's just.
Should that be 2021 there?
Well, if we spend money on it, we have to list the first year we're gonna
Okay.
spend money on
Okay.
All right.
Any other questions for Joel? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the 2018 to 2021 Boys for Tribal Transportation Plan Resolution.
Move.
Moved by Ray, is there a second? Second by Dave, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried.
it. And the next resolution I have is for retained services addendum through EIA for project engineering and survey design for the human services parking lot.
Is this in Net Lake or Vermillion?
This would be in Net Lake.
Okay. No questions, I'll call for a motion to approve the retained services addendum for FY 2018 resolution. Moved by Dave, is there a second? Second by Ray, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, we got Jenny, purchase of 2 buses.
Good morning, Jenny.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, on the agenda, just want to clarify that it says sole source purchase. I did go through the entire procurement process and followed all the rules for the tribal procurement plan, the state, and the feds.
And you're going to go with the Tellin Transportation bid?
Yes, that is not the low bid, it is the mid bid, but they offer free delivery for 2 buses.
Okay.
With our staffing shortages, if I were to take 3 drivers offline, I'd have to shut down routes, pay per diem, and have them drive to St. Cloud to pick up the 2 buses from the low bid. So that cost would exceed the difference between the 2 bids.
Okay. I also see that Tellin offers warranty service as close as Hibbing.
Yes, that has worked really well for us. Shubat Transportation does our warranty work for
Okay.
Tallinn.
Good. Any other questions for Jenny? If not, I'll call for a motion to approve the sole source request for purchase of 2 buses from Tellin Transportation.
Move.
Moved by Brandon, is there a second? Second by Ray, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Thank you,
you.
Jenny. Good job.
Next, we have Barbara Dean with.
Ooh, it's getting cold. Good morning, Barb.
Good morning. First resolution I have is a residential lease for Corey D. King. As you know, he purchased the house that was previously owned by Donovan Strong. The contract for title was signed on November 30th, and you all have a copy of that in your
And this is just giving the residential lease to Corey.
Correct.
Moved by Ray, is there a second? Second by Dave, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Next, I have a lease modification for Roger Tudoloff Jr. He is requesting to have his lease changed from a recreational to a residential.
Call for motion to approve the lease modification for Roger Tudoloff Jr. from a recreational lease to a residential lease. Moved by Dave, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Brandon, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Next, I have a renewal of a recreational lease for Peter F. Boney, Benjamin Philip Boney, Rachel A. Boney, Geneva Beaver, Roland Beaver, Paula Beaver, and Randall Beaver.
Call for a motion to approve the lease renewal, recreational lease for Peter F. Boney and others as Barb mentioned. Moved by Ray, is there a second? Seconded by Dave, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Thank you, Barb.
Okay, next we have Mike Connor, the mutual aid agreement with the Area Regional Emergency Management Association.
Good morning, Mike.
Morning.
That's Mike Connors.
Yeah. Yeah, this is Mike Connor for the Emergency Preparedness and Ambulance Director for Boys Fort. This agreement isn't a final set agreement. Actually, I'm just asking to see if you guys want to support something like this. It will bring in resources from county, state, other tribes in case something disaster happens here on Boys Fort Tower side or Boys Fort side. And what it will do is that it allow resources from the county or other tribes to come in, support Boys Fort, and vice versa, if we have to go and support county or other tribes. And the funding would come from the FEMA Disaster Relief Fund.
Okay.
So it wouldn't cost us anything. We'd just be filing their receipts and stuff as extra cost for the damages.
And I see Mark reviewed it, and then Andy had some comments also, but those have all been resolved?
Yes, yes.
Oh, Andy, come on up.
No, those questions have not been finally resolved. It's still in the process, and that's why, like I said, not asking you today to take final approval on this, because some of the language will change.
Oh, just to continue with it.
With the liability clauses and workers' comp, some things need to be clarified.
But just to keep pursuing it?
Keep the process moving and to determine if you're interested in pursuing a mutual aid. And if the answer to that is yes, then we'll go back to the arrowhead.
Okay.
And work with the tribal attorney to get those issues and questions resolved, bring it back to the plan.
Okay. I think it's a great idea to go for a mutual aid agreement. Never knowing what type of emergency situation will arise. We never know if we're going to need outside assistance or not. Most times, probably, because it's a natural disaster or whatever. So I personally think it's a great idea.
Okay. What I did this morning is I also called the Homeland Security Planner for Region 2, and two of the tribes, Mille Lacs and Leech Lake, they signed on already, but talking with the planner, Homeland Security Planner, he said that there's a lot of issues that everybody, the counties and everybody are finding more questions that are out there.
Okay.
So the next regional meeting is probably going to be within a couple of weeks.
Okay.
With Homeland Security and state.
No, just
Just consensus, yes.
Are you guys okay with that?
I'm good.
Yeah, okay. Good, go ahead with it, Mike.
Okay.
Good job. Thank you, Andy.
Next, we have Andy with the,
Good morning, Andy.
Good morning. Yes, this is a partnership agreement with Mndot, and this started, geez, almost a year ago now, when Mndot approached us and indicated that they would be interested in working with us in developing training programs for tribal members, particularly related to heavy highway construction. Which is an occupational field that a lot of band members have been interested in getting into, and many have. And it's also an area where Mndot is foreseeing a future shortage of skilled workers in those fields. And so they're very interested in working with the band and supporting the program financially. And they've committed up to $600,000 over 4 years to support this workforce opportunity and training pilot program. And so there's been lots of review of the agreement. Corey and I have been working on it. Dawn Benner is aware of it. She was on leave of absence for much of the period when the details were being developed, but she is aware of it, and the program would be administered through her department. And we're at the point now where the agreement is ready for approval and execution, if that's what your desire is. But we think it'd be a really good program, would help support the TARO program and provide training opportunities for band members.
Andy, I know that this is open to band members across the state, correct? We could advertise to band members, like say in the metro area, Duluth area, for the training opportunities?
Yes, and in fact, some of the training opportunities could potentially occur in the metro area.
Okay. On Exhibit A, Statement of Work, it says that the program will have, or the participants, it says providing individuals with the skills needed for highway, heavy construction, on-the-job training positions, and access to entry-level positions with contractors working on state projects. Will the DOT be contacting, say, Don, regarding projects where we possibly have students located to be incorporated into their job sites or job projects? Okay.
Yeah, Mndot is definitely looking at this as a partnership and wants to work with us to make sure that the graduates of the program can get placed.
Okay, because I'd hate to see it just happen in projects in our area when we have people possibly in the, let's say, Duluth or Twin Cities area that could possibly use work and not just notifying us of local projects.
Correct.
Okay.
Not necessarily. It's, their commitment is for 4 years, and it's $600,000 total.
I think, Ray, if you can remember where this whole thing came from, was on the big Highway 53 bridge project, the amount of money that was put into that project. You know, they were within the TARO, within the TARO compliance area. And I remember going down to a meeting down in New Brighton where we were told we were going to get, boy, I can't remember the dollar amount. Was it 1 point?
It It was 600,000.
No, the meeting before that, it was the one lady lost her job over it. She told us we were getting the taro tax on that huge project, which was more than 600,000. I can't, how much? 750,000. So, I think, you know, whether or not we would have won that case, you know, if you remember correctly, this was just kind of a compromise between Ed Fairbanks and, you know, he told us too that we were entitled to the tariff fee on that big project, and I just see this as a, you know, a compromise between two governments that, you know, just decided to let it be how it is. So it is a one-time funding, you know, for 600,000, and it will be beneficial on our end. And I know on a federal level, we're still trying to get the taro, the definition and the taro language tightened up. So when these projects come close to the reservations, they'll pay us the money that they actually owe us, is how that all went down, and it ended up being 600,000.
Yeah, that turned out to be a very valuable meeting.
With regards to the taro, the federal law states on or near a reservation for a project, and the definition of near the reservation is hopefully going to be defined with our new taro committee that was just appointed at the last meeting. I know we've talked with Don about, and also with Craig Hansen out of Mille Lacs, he's the head of the Taro Commission for the state of Minnesota, and that they want to incorporate a mile radius for projects on or near Boys Fort Reservation, which also includes Deer Creek in the Itasca County area, and then also Vermilion here. And a suggestion was made to possibly look at what the unions require, a reasonable commuting distance for their union employees. So using that as a tool for the taro program. So that's one thing that will be addressed in our new taro commission, to update our taro ordinance with regards to that. So this type of thing doesn't happen again. And so, you know, we were fortunate to have that meeting, and to the DOT and the state got involved there, and basically it was a false promise, and we've been told that many times throughout our history. You're going to get this and you don't get it. So $600,000 I think will be very beneficial to some of the people at Boys Fort. The programs have been, the cement masonry and the CDL and those programs have been successful, so we'll utilize these funds very, very well.
Yeah, it was a you know, a case of we probably owe you a steak, but here's a pork chop. Enjoy.
If no other questions, it looks like it's gone through Mark and everything. I'll call for a motion to approve the resolution for the partnership agreement with the state of Minnesota for a Boys Fort Workforce Opportunity Pilot Program with Mndot.
Move.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Motion to approve made by Brandon, seconded by Ray.
That was by Trav.
Oh, Trav. Dang it.
Second.
Motion made by Travis, seconded by Ray. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. Oh. This is, back in October, we received a letter. There was a Tribal Leaders Summit that Governor Dayton held, where we all came to the table to talk about a number of issues. One was a tribal opioid epidemic, Enbridge Line 3, renewable energy, and water. and we were talking about it, and we also mentioned that an important component at our meeting was not there, and that was our youth. And so the governor wanted to get a Minnesota tribal youth team together throughout the state, and he's calling it the Minnesota Tribal Youth Gathering Steering Committee, where we do hear from our youth with regards to issues affecting the tribes. So at this point, I would like to request the appointment of Sasha Strong and Rainey Davila Day. And Sasha is a student at Northwoods here and lives on the reservation. Rainey Davila Day is one of our urban students. We're always talking about having representation from our urban community with regards to issues that affect us. So Rainey is a fine young lady I met in the Minneapolis urban office, and we've asked her to sit on this committee representing Bois Forte to represent our urban Bois Forte population. So with that, I'd like to call for a motion to approve the appointment of Sasha Strong and Rainey Davila Day to the steering committee.
The appointments were, I can't remember, they were done last week?
Yes.
Okay. So in the letter that we got was October 2nd, 2017, from Governor Dayton.
Yes.
I guess I just want that clarified that the tribal council made the appointments. It was nothing where Governor Dayton selected people. It was a couple of people on the council, and you know,
Thank you for that. Thanks for that clarification, Brandon.
I'll move.
Moved by Ray. Is there a second? Second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent?
I'm going to go silent, just based on the fact that, you know, I guess more youth weren't taken into account for it, and so I'm just going to go silent on that.
And thank you, Brandon. This is just it can be a one-year appointment, and it was a time constituent. The meeting with the governor was actually held last Friday, and where he officially appointed the youth there, and it requires, I think, meeting once a quarter or once a month with these youth. So if any other youth are interested out there, there will be further appointments to this committee. Thank you, Brandon. Corey? Yeah.
Next we have the resolution for restored ceded lands. And Mark had sent an additional resolution. The resolution that's in your packet accounts for all the lands within the reservation property lines.
Oh.
And the one that Whitfield is handing out, the only change would be, as we take into consideration the last, therefore be resolved that they take into other NCT lands that are underneath the jurisdiction of the man. First resolution does not include Indian Point, because Indian Point is outside of the reservation boundary lines. The second resolution would include Indian Point in any lands that we have jurisdiction outside the NCT. For the most part, is
Oh, okay.
the second one does state that it includes land, NCT lands within the jurisdiction of the band. The first resolution that's in the packet is just the federal lands, the 22,000 acres that are within the reservation boundaries. So, if you want to include Well, what this resolution says is all the acres right now that are within the Minnesota, within Boyce Fort, that are underneath, listed as in trust for the Minnesota Chippewa tribe, would be changed to Boyce Fort back to Chippewa. And Keenan's reservation. And then therefore we take the TEC, request them to address it at that level.
Yep.
And at the other hand, each of the MCT, Minnesota Chippewa tribe lands on the other reservations, would then be referred back to each of the
This resolution, I've been asked on the TEC level by some tribal leaders there from White Earth and Leech Lake with regards to the MCT lands within the reservation and under the Minnesota Chippewa tribe. And what they would like to do is we'd like to get our land back and put into Boyce Fort rather than MCT. And so I had a meeting with, I believe it was Leroy Fairbanks at Leech Lake, and this is something that the tribes really want to pursue again. It was tabled in 2006, I believe, at the TEC level because of the monetary value of the timber on the land. The tribes wanted money with regards to the timber, say at Boyce Fort. And since 2006, I believe, and this is just my own opinion, is that you know, the timber industry has received a big blow since then, and also that you know, I think it's time to relook at this or revisit this issue, so hopefully it can get resolved. So it will be brought, this resolution then will be brought forward to the next TEC meeting in January at a regular meeting to begin that process again for getting the lands within our boundaries that are listed as MCT turned over to Boyce Fort, and White Earths would be White Earths and Fond du Lacs would be Fond du Lacs. I believe White Earth and Boyce Fort have the most acreage with regards to that, and the least acreage I believe is Mille Lacs and Fond du Lac. I'm not sure about Portage, but most of the leaders were in agreement of coming back together to the table, but this will initiate that process also, and then going forward from there. And I'd like to, I guess I'd like to include the Indian Point region and use the second resolution, if you guys are okay with that.
This one?
Yep, the one with the yellow markings on it. If no questions, I'll call for a motion to approve the resolution, the second resolution. Moved by Dave, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ray, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried.
Next, we have the resolution for National League
These dues total $3,500 and they're in the budget. Kim?
These ones are generally paid for by Fortune.
Fortune Bay? Oh, okay.
This is April, and there is a table in the back.
Oh, it depends on annual gross gaming revenue? Okay.
The first page of the membership invoice.
Yep.
So they should owe us money. No.
The category is the gaming tribe, annual gross gaming revenue between 10 million to 25 million. They just group them in different categories, so that fee is $3,500. Call for a motion to approve the 2018 National Indian Gaming Association tribal membership dues.
Move.
Moved by Ray, is there a second? second by Dave. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried.
Last is the list for conditions for approval.
Lots of them.
These went before the donations committee, Corey?
The recommendations,
Do you want to do that each individually, or?
No, do them as a blanket. Do it together.
Yeah, we'll do this in a blanket motion, since it's run through the donation committee, and there is funding in the budget for these donations, so I'll call for a motion to approve the donation of $250 to the U of M Annual Spring Powwow, $250 to the Chum Emergency Shelter, and $150 to the Interfaith Action of St. Paul Department of Indian Work Holiday Program. Is that it?
And second
Oh,
page.
my goodness. $100 to the Minneapolis Public Schools and Anishinaabe Academy Family Events, $50 to the Central Minnesota Chapter of the National Federation of the Blind 31st Annual Fundraiser, $100 to Cook Carefree Living Christmas Program, $100 to Orr Carefree Living Christmas Program, $150 to the National Indian Head Start Directors Association, $100 to the Division of Indian Work, $100 to the Hunger Solutions Thanksgiving Meal, and $100 to the Wounded Warrior Project. Call for a motion to approve those donations.
Move.
Moved by Brandon, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trav, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, silent, motion carried. Call for a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Moved by Travis, is there a second? Second by Ray, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, silent, motion carried.